Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, then make predictions for next week's top 5. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number 1 would be Black Panther Wakanda Forever, number 2 would be Strange World, number 3 would be Glass Onion, number 4 would be Devotion, and number 5 would be Bones and All. And I got 4 out of 5 of my predictions right for this week, and I thought that my number 5 one might be a little shaky, but I am very happy to say that I was pretty confident on the other 4. I'm enjoying this moment for sure because I had to go through so many comments of people looking at the title of my video and some sincerely answering the question, and then other people trying to insult me because I was so flippant and and just so dismissive of The Chosen, everyone's favorite TV show about Jesus or something. I still have not done any other research on that show. Suck it. I feel like, the only reason why I got that many, people commenting was because I literally put that in the title and, people are like, what is he talking about with The Chosen? And then they see that one little bit where it's kind of like, I don't even go too in depth with it. I don't do a whole rant. It's not like I went on a huge rant about religion and shit like that. It's just like, all right, the reason why I was like, what even is The Chosen is because it disrupted the box office because I didn't know it was coming in, was going to be this big. It didn't put in my predictions the week before. So I'm like, what is this? What is happening here? But it's not even like I don't know what it is. I gave some basic info, and you don't really need to know anything else. I don't think anyone else in my audience really cares all that much. But still, people commented anyways, I think someone tried to call me a cuck at one point in the comments also, like they were trying to imply that as if it was like a sick burn, like, hey, got him, I bet he's like a cuck little baby boy. Or something like that. And it's like, ayo, if you're a fan of The Chosen and you're using this argument to try to bring me down, I don't really think this is part of God's plan. You know what I'm saying? I don't think this is what Jesus would want. Sorry, guys. I just had to get that out of the way. Let's move on to what actually happened at the box office. Number 1 was Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Once again, 3 weekends in a row. For the 3-day weekend, it made $45 million. Obviously, people are reporting on the 3-day weekend. People are reporting on the Thanksgiving 5-day weekend. But, we're going to specifically look at the 3-day numbers because that's what we always do here. We go over the overall domestic total anyways, and that kind of feeds into it. So you're not going to miss a whole lot. Yeah, it made $45 million this weekend. That now adds to a domestic total of $367 million. As far as where it is on the domestic charts for the MCU, it has outgrossed Winter Soldier by $108 million, Iron Man 2 by $55 million, Iron Man 1 by $49 million, Love and Thunder by $24 million, Ragnarok by $52, and Homecoming by $33 million. Oh, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 by $34 million, but it is $22 million away currently until it outgrosses Volume 2. So it's still rising up in the ranks. This is definitely going to be one of the MCU's highest grossing films. I mean, legit, did you not just hear how I said it just outgrossed Love and Thunder? The most recent MCU movie aside from this. So yeah, it's making its way through. Worldwide, it is sitting at $675 million right now. So it's already doubled that $250 million budget. It's on its way to triple it once it, gets to 750 and beyond. It outgrossed the first Ant-Man by $157 million, outgrossed Ant-Man and the Wasp by $52 million, outgrossed Thor the Dark World by $31, Iron Man 2 by $54 million, and it needs only $1 million until it outgrosses the first Doctor Strange. So there you go, still rising up in the ranks. If I had to say anything about this movie, I'm just glad that so many people are once again showing up to see this. It's a tough watch emotionally because of what happened with Chadwick Boseman, obviously, rest in peace. I'm just really happy that people are finding something to enjoy here and that people, chose Thanksgiving to, spend a special time in the theater with this movie. If I can also now lean into a little bit more, just a teeny bit more of a cynical side, I still do kind of, am scared and frustrated at, audience members' just over-reliance on the superhero film because the next movie we're going to talk about, this movie opened with 45 this weekend. And now we get to a new release, a Disney animated film with a ton of money backed into it. And usually, Disney animations make, decent amount of money on their opening weekends. Usually some of the bigger IP ones, and you can include Pixar into this as well, like your Frozen 2 or Incredibles 2, they tend to make a lot more money. But usually it's like, hey, it's a new Disney movie, looks pretty cool, let's all, and it's a Thanksgiving, kids are out of school, let's all go see it. Number 2 was Strange World, and it only made, for the 3-day weekend, $11 million. For the Thanksgiving 5-day, since it opened up Wednesday, that is $18 million in total. Worldwide, not even that can really boost it up. It is sitting at $27 million. Now, I took a little bit of a trip down memory lane for some of Disney's previous films, and I was looking at some of their lowest opening ones, and some of them are kind of like, they don't seem really fair to bring up as far as the comparison goes, because some of them, opened limited first and then they expanded, and, some of the older ones from 90s, 80s, they had low numbers, but then, they held over pretty well. It was a different time period at the box office, before we get to the more modern day, and then, post-COVID, conditioned to streaming, people scared of germs, whatever. So I tried to be selective with my comparison here, but just to show how poorly this movie opened, because this is a flop for sure. The budget is about $180 million. This is a terrible, and especially for, Disney movies, usually, they seek out these Thanksgiving release dates. Like, yeah, families are going to be home. We got to put something out there. We're going to make a ton of money like we always do. This is horrible. So, for comparison, it opened $1 million below when Treasure Planet opened up, but it made $2 million more than the opening weekend for Emperor's New Groove, and $3 million over Raya and the Last Dragon from last year, the Disney animated film from spring of 2021. And if you and that was still kind of when COVID was kind of lingering, not everyone had a vaccine yet, people were still masking up in the theater. So it was like, okay, yeah, Raya didn't open all that well. It's coming to Disney Plus later. They're promoting the fact that you can pay $30 at some point to watch it. But, we're kind of post that now, where people are like, okay, a lot of people have gotten their vaccines now. People are more comfortable coming back to the theaters, as proven by, the MCU numbers alone, and Top Gun and all these other movies that have done surprisingly pretty well. The fact that Strange World, the latest Disney film, which usually is a surefire hit, only made $3 million over the opening weekend of Raya. That's saying something, that's horrible. And Raya didn't even open in Thanksgiving when families were home, they're, in school during and, online learning, the pressures and everything of everything going on at that time. Oh my God, it's just, wow, what a shame. I can't say that this is a movie worth, kind of flocking to the theater for. I think that's the other thing. You have, obviously, there's been some kind of snafu online because some people got a hold of the talking point of Disney put a gay character in this and it's pushing an agenda on our kid, whatever. I don't think that's making up a whole lot of it. I think also there's a big lack of their usual kind of marketing push for this thing, kind of like a, not to use this word again, but kind of flippant, oh yeah, we got another movie coming out, you'll go see it maybe, kind of approach to the marketing. Barely anything, you barely see anything other than 2 memes of Jake Gyllenhaal in interviews, but that's it. You know what I mean? And I think, there's another side of the reviews where kind of yeah, it's fine. It's an okay one. It's nothing too special. I think the potential was there. They didn't really quite meet it. So that's for sure disappointing as well. I'm sure people are making that decision of yeah, let's go see Black Panther, where people are saying it's really emotional and you can't miss it. You're going to cry, over Strange World, where it's just okay below the standards of what we need for these movies. Oy vey. Let's move on to number 3 now. Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery. Now, I was getting worried after I made my prediction because I saw some people kind of going yeah, but Netflix probably won't report the numbers on this. And maybe they aren't. I'm pretty sure they still aren't, but people are, doing the math themselves and figuring out how much money Glass Onion is making. We may not know exactly how much it has, but for only opening in 600 theaters, mind you, and only for a week, so it's probably, unless they make a last minute, extended plan, it's probably not going to be in theaters next weekend. So until Wednesday, hurry up and go see it if you haven't yet. It made $9 million this weekend, and over the 5-day weekend, that adds to a domestic total of $13 million. Now, obviously, the first movie opened on the 3-day weekend with $26 million. The 5-day Thanksgiving was 40. And, this movie is budgeted around the same without a worldwide total also. I'm not sure if they're going to push this movie in theaters worldwide or not, or if they already have and I'm just unaware. Without that worldwide total, opening with a 13 million 5-day is kind of maybe you got to double that budget. But since, Netflix for some reason doesn't give a fuck about pumping money into things and not really specifically making back a profit on that, you know what I mean? this is so crazy to me, you know what I mean? Because the first movie, it had that opening, but then, staying power. People kept talking about it, word of mouth. It made a lot of money for an original murder mystery film, and now Netflix has gobbled it up. They're going to put it on streaming, but they're like, okay, we'll put it in theaters, but only for a week. We want people just to go see it at home. That's the way we want it to be seen. And it's like, aren't you guys like in like billions of dollars in debt and, making some kind of profit back on these movies that people would like to go to see in the theater? Wouldn't that help? This just, if Netflix really just put it out there, and was just like, hey, we got a new movie. New Knives Out. It's going to come to Netflix at some point, but we're going to put it in theaters for the proper run. They would have had so much money to their name. For now, though, a 9 million opening is pretty damn good for just 600 theaters. I'm very happy that it was able to get to the exact spot I predicted. I wish it made a lot more. I wish Netflix had more fucking faith in the fucking theatrical experience, They have so many fucking products all at once, they're eating each other up. There's not even enough time for like what I really loved about Netflix initially was that they were giving a spotlight to some of the movies that were now flopping at the box office. They were like, okay, people are not seeing it in theaters. Let's, give it some time to release on our service. We'll give it a big spotlight and see how the numbers go. And that used to be really great. But now it's like, yeah, some of these projects come out and barely anyone knows what they are, and usually a Netflix thing is what people are talking about. Like, hey, have you seen this? It's at home. It's on Netflix. And now it's like, I don't know, there's just so much shit on there to watch that people are talking about. And then you have the competition with other streamers. They can't even promote themselves like how they used to in the beginning. It's like the greatest thing you could do is try to pull back and maybe even put some of your shit out in theaters, Whatever. This is a whole other topic, and I feel like it's getting muddled already. Let's move on to number 4, which is Devotion. Very good movie. Would recommend you go see it. Very bad opening, though. It made $6 million on the 3-day, which adds to a domestic total of $9 million. There's no worldwide total as of right now, but its budget is $90 million. So they need quite a lot to double that to be considered a success. Now, as far as the director's previous film, Slight, this did outgross that film by $6 million, so I guess that's a good personal achievement. I can't remember which studio was pushing this movie out, but it's like, man, this is such a big bummer that this movie just got essentially dumped in this crowded Thanksgiving weekend where Black Panther is still, reigning supreme, even with all these other movies getting released. And, oh man, you have a fighter pilot movie, Top Gun Maverick, obviously making all the money in the world. These are two different movies, despite the fact that, fighter pilot characters are in them. But, even then, one of them is a sequel, big franchise IP, and also had some really fantastic blockbuster filmmaking to back it, some of the best out there, some really great technical aspects. And this movie is just, it's a biopic. It's an important story, which is why, I wish more people were seeing it, and it is actually a good movie, but you can't compete with that. You know what I mean? I feel like they're, especially casting one of the same actors from Top Gun Maverick, and people are like, oh yeah, he was in that much more cooler, better film that I recognize characters before, and it's more of a Hollywood film instead of a biopic, more entertaining than a sad biopic story. So yeah, it's just a big bummer that this movie got treated this way, kind of dumped. Big bummer. Let's move on to number 5, which was not Bones and All. I was a little too optimistic with that one. It was actually The Menu, making $5 million. That adds to a domestic total of $18 million. And worldwide, a little bit of a boost. It is now sitting at $33 million. So its budget is $30 million, as I said last time. It still needs $60 million to double that, be considered a success. But right now, sitting at $33 million isn't too bad. Maybe before it leaves, it will get a chance to, still hold over well and get to that doubling point. I'm not sure how many other movies that have already been out in limited release might be going wide next weekend. The only thing I know is that Violent Night is coming out, and that's like the biggest kind of contender coming. So there could very well be a chance that this movie still holds over well and, can double that budget. That'd be great because this movie is excellent. Number 6, Black Adam, not excellent, making $3 million, adding to a domestic total of $162 million. It still needs $67 million until it outgrosses Justice League domestically, and for The Rock, it is still $11 million behind Hobbs and Shaw, which is very surprising to say the least. Worldwide, it is sitting at 378 million, so it needs 277 million until it outgrosses Justice League. And for The Rock, it just outgrossed G.I. Joe Retaliation by 3 million, but it still needs 49 until it outgrosses Rampage. Now this movie is struggling to get past some of Johnson's most recent efforts that, don't even have the same, I don't even think you can say those had the same push as Black Adam did, as far as like, man, this is gonna really change the game. This is really important. This is really special. This is a passion project of mine. It's like, man, I can't even outgross Rampage right now. Like, it might, That's the thing. Like, 49 million shouldn't seem too bad as far as, like, a big superhero movie. Like, yeah, it'll outgross that, but it's like, I don't know, maybe. Like, it still needs 12 million until it doubles that $195 million budget. It's still not there yet. Crazy. Let's move on to number 7, which is the Fable Men, which I didn't predict for my top 5. I saw some people predicting it for the top 5 as well, but I didn't because, checking for showtimes, because I got the Fandango alert, like, tickets are now available. I was like, sweet. And it wasn't playing, like, it was playing at a theater, like, about 30 minutes away from me. I was like, I can make the drive, but let's see if it, gets to one of my closer ones. Sometimes it takes a while for theaters to update. As of, today, I have the tickets for tomorrow night. I'm seeing it tomorrow night, but as of today, still checking. It opened technically Wednesday. It still hasn't come to my my two nearest Regals and AMCs, which is very confusing. So I already knew kind of beforehand, like, it seems like it's not opening as wide as they are claiming it is. Like, I don't know how many theaters it actually released in, but clearly not as much if I have to now drive 30 minutes to see this movie. Like, but they're not promoting it as like kind of like a limited thing, or like it'll expand soon. It's just like the only things I've been seeing are just like, it's out now, go see it. It's like, some people will definitely be put off by the drive if it's the same situation for them. If it takes 30 minutes to see The Fabelmans, or 5 minutes to go see Glass Onion only in theaters for a week, they're probably going to go see Glass Onion. Number 8 was Bones and All, making 2.20 million, adding to a domestic total of 3.7 million. So, despite the fact that there is cannibalism in this, there are some people who are like, I can bear that. I saw that one Thanksgiving night, which is fucking hilarious. I was the only one there. It's not for people who might be deterred by, it's a cannibal story. Yes, there are certainly some moments where they show you them, eating people, but it's not as like splatter or like gory as you might, when you hear the term cannibal movie. It's not as gory as you might expect. You will get those moments, but it's definitely, oddly enough, more of a young adult coming of age romance film. Not to, talk too much about it right now because we're just trying to talk about box office, but, if you are deterred by like just being grossed out and gored, you might have to sit through some scenes, but I would definitely still recommend it because it is an interesting piece of art and I really, really liked it. Worldwide, it is sitting at 5.8 million and the budget is like $20 million, so it's not the greatest opening in the world. I'm not sure what the studio's expectations for this was, because obviously Cannibal Love Story, will put some people off. So I don't know what their expectations were. Maybe this is meeting exactly where they thought, or maybe they're a little bummed that it didn't open more. Not sure, but here it is. Let's move on to number 9, which is Ticket to Paradise, making 1.8 million, which adds to a domestic total of 65 million. 55 million until it outgrosses Mamma Mia 2. That's the director's previous film. For George Clooney, it needs 13 million until it outgrosses Monuments Men. For Julia Roberts, it just outgrossed Mona Lisa's Smile by 2 million, and it now needs 1 million until it outgrosses The Mexican and Charlie Wilson's War. Worldwide, it is sitting at 165 million, so 234 million until Mamma Mia 2. And for George Clooney, 1 million away from outgrossing Up in the Air, and Julia Roberts, 8 million until it outgrosses Mirror Mirror. Still progressing in the charts. I'm not sure if it'll be here next weekend. Depends on, if anything's sticking around, what's, if there's anything else coming out that might push it out. But if this is the last time we're talking about it, what a run. You know what I mean? 15 million away from tripling that $60 million budget, which, close enough. And, because this movie isn't jam-packed with shit like Black Adam as far as the budget goes, it doesn't really, I don't think it even needs to be true. I think 165 million is just enough. Finally, closing out the video, number 10, everyone's favorite thing in the world, The Chosen Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2. It made 1.5 million this weekend, which now adds to a domestic total of $13 million. I'm assuming, I saw some of the comments saying that it does have like a good theatrical quality to the production. So I don't know how much money both of those episodes cost if they're looking to turn a profit on those by putting them in theaters, but I'm sure 13 million is a pretty good number. Like, this is pretty impressive for a Fathom event with a niche kind of show and a niche kind of audience it's marketing to. So way to go. I still will not do any other research on the show, and I probably will not watch it. I will not give it a chance. Please bring on the. I think I'm not going to put The Chosen in the title of this video. I think that was the thing that kind of brought it down, was that last time that's what I titled it. And so I'm not going to do that again. But imagine, like, I say all this shit and people are still commenting like, oh my god, I can't believe you're not giving this a chance. Why are you so flippant and dismissive? Like, not getting that they're making me laugh. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing that some people don't get when I say something like this as like a joke, like I'm very like, dismissive on it, and then, people like come in and reply stuff where I'm like, I could have predicted getting these comments. You know what I mean? They're filling up every single like stereotype of like a bad comment. So like, if you're gonna do it again, please, I will literally only get joy out of it. I will roll my eyes and let out a little smile. You are pleasing me. Praise Jesus, everybody. Anyways, sorry, let's move on to the predictions for next week's top 5. I'm going with Black Panther Wakanda Forever once again at number 1. Then number 2, I think, will definitely be Violent Night. I think that has at least more of an interesting marketing angle than some of the other films that have, have come out this weekend. Number 3, I think, will be Strange World. Number 4, Devotion. And number 5, The Menu. But what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave them in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.